I am just back from an overnight stay away at a spa. It was very nice. And I was coming back because I was thinking, you know what? Sometimes we forget how much we actually know. And someone had asked me about Twitter polls. So I said, you know what? I'll show you how to use a Twitter poll just in case you don't know how to use it. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you how to create a Twitter poll and then what to do with the Twitter poll after you create the Twitter poll, because I use Twitter polls as a great way to show my expertise, but also to get answers from my clients and my customers to see, you know, what it is they need. This is my Twitter. I'm in my Twitter now. What maybe to get customer feedback. So what you do is you just go compose tweet, and then you ask your question. So let's say we want to say, will you take 2 weeks holidays this summer or a few mini breaks? Let's say we ask that. This is just for today, just to give you an example. So this would be the question, right? And then underneath you have your image, your GIF, and then you see these horizontal lines. If you click on them, you have choices. So you can add choices. So you choice one, a few little breaks. I know I'll be taking a few little breaks. I don't think I'd go away for 2 weeks. And then you can go 2 weeks, definitely. And then I could do another one and add, you go to the plus sign, you can add another choice and say other, and then ask them to comment, because that increases your engagement as well. If you ask people for a comment, it helps gets your audience engaging, it starts conversations, and it's really, really cool. So I could make the poll for 1 day long, or I can make it for, let's say, 3 days long. So if I make it for 3 days long, what happens is I'll just tweet it then. All right. So I'll tweet it out there. I'll show you what it will look like. So here we go. If we go to my profile over here, there we are. Look, there I am live. Hello. So yeah, so this would be the poll. So this is what it looks like. So you'll start seeing little people vote, little kind of bars going up and down as people vote. So I'll refresh that in a minute. But just to show you that Twitter polls are really powerful, especially if you want to show, you know, ask your clients, your customers questions. You can ask your audience how they feel about certain things. I remember I did one on do you respond to auto DMs on Twitter? And I think it was 78% of people said no, they do not. So good thing to think about. Also, do you click on a Facebook or Instagram link when someone connects their Instagram to Twitter or their Facebook to Twitter? And I think 78% of people said, or I think it was 73% said no, they don't click on a link going straight to Facebook or Instagram. So it's a great way to find out what people, first of all, what people feel about things, but also what I do with those polls, with the results. What I do with those results is I turn them into a blog post, and I put them in a blog post then, or an article on LinkedIn. And what I do is I use the results of the poll to explain why people don't use DMs or auto DMs, and why they don't connect their Facebook, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'll just share my screen again and see if we've any votes yet on the poll. So if you're watching this live, go and vote on my poll. So I'll just share my screen again now. Let me see, has anyone voted yet? Let's see. Let's go here. And we will go to the poll, little poll I just created, and you can go into your profile to see it. There we go. Okay, so one person has voted. Thank you very much, whoever voted. Oh, look, 8 people have voted, right? So as you can see, while we were live here, 2 weeks, so 75% of people are taking 2 weeks holidays. Now, what can I do with this information? Okay, this was just to show you an example of a Twitter poll, right? However, if anyone in the tourist sector is watching this, they could use the results of this, especially if I get over 100 votes, because 100 votes is a valid kind of survey. I've had my Twitter polls used in articles about social media, about influencers and stuff like that, and I've had them used in articles. I'll show you an example of one I did earlier. So if I go to search up here on the right hand side and I put tweeting goddess, and then I put the words Twitter poll in, Twitter poll, it'll bring up all the Twitter polls that I've done in the past. So it's a really good little tip as well. So here's some Twitter polls. I could click the latest. So here's one here that I did from my Women's Inspire network. So most of all, people wanted to feel part of a community, but we didn't get enough votes in that. We only got 25, so I can't really use that in a poll. But here's one here. I'm considering delivering a workshop. A few more votes on that, but still not enough. I only had 54, so I wouldn't use that in an article either. So let's find one that had got a lot of results. Let's see. What's most frustrating? Okay, that only got 43 as well. This is not a very good example. Hang on a second. Let me see. Okay, right. This was a good one, right? Because I was thinking of changing my title, as clients have been saying to me, I'm not just a Twitter expert. So I asked my audience, what title do you think I should use for what I do? So virtual marketing is what most people said. Isn't that interesting? Nobody said virtual online sales, and yet that is something I do a lot. I help people get sales online. Online sales expert, 37%. Brand advocate collector, no. You see, virtual marketing is the one that people voted for. So there's 232 votes there. So that's actually a valid poll. So that is something that I should be looking at. So it's interesting. It's an interesting way if you maybe had a spa or like a tourism destination, let's say, and you see the results of the poll that I just did today. You could say, right, so people are going away for 2-week breaks. So maybe we need to make a special 2-week package, and you use the results of that poll. And maybe you could refer to my poll and say, hey, Tweeting Goddess did this poll. We want to know what you want from our tourism destination. Would you like to come here for a few days? And ask them the same question. So you can actually piggyback off my poll, especially if you're in the tourism sector, and you could use the results of that poll as well. So that's just how you do a Twitter poll. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that.